I want people to know that we take this seriously.
Washington Secretary of State Kim Wyman discovered 74 people who appeared to have voted twice in the 2016 election. That was out of more than 3 million ballots cast in a state that votes by mail. Wyman gave the evidence to county prosecutors, who she says declined to file any charges.
I was disappointed that we didn't have any of our county prosecutors actually prosecute those crimes. They are felonies in our state.
A study by researchers from Harvard and Stanford found double voting in America is infrequent, happening at most in 1 out of every 4,000 ballots cast, but with record-keeping errors at election offices responsible for many of those cases. Rare as someone actually voting twice might be, we found it's even more unusual to see charges filed when it does happen. One reason is because people who vote twice don't always mean to. Most of the 74 cases of possible voter fraud in Washington state occurred in populous King County, home of Seattle. The prosecutor's office received and investigated 18 reports of double voting, finding enough to believe 10 people did in fact vote twice, but never charging anyone with a crime.
Did you know we're the nation's largest vote-by-mail jurisdiction?
King County's prosecutor declined to speak on camera, but a spokesman says all 10 double voting cases were accidental. People who had moved and voted again in their new town, or who cast a ballot in another state where they had a second home. Instead of issuing indictments, King County sent warning letters to the suspected illegal voters, telling us, "We have seen the same result from our letters as we did from the previous misdemeanor filings. They stopped their behavior. If they did not, we could move forward with filing a criminal case against them, and we're very clear about that in our letters to them." Rutgers social science professor Lorraine Maniti has found prosecutors often pass on filing charges because, as in King County, they don't want to go after people who didn't intend to vote twice.
But they might vote early, actually forget, and show up at the polls.
Or someone votes for a recently deceased spouse.
I mean, people who've been married 50 years are like finishing each other's sentences. They're sort of like, his vote is my vote. I don't know. It's like a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
But was there really an intent to sort of undermine the outcome of the election?
Washington state law says double voting is illegal only when someone intentionally votes twice or acts recklessly or negligently. We found 13 other states also require intent to convict.
The crime is an intent crime. The crime is that you knowingly did it. So to convict somebody, you have to get to state of mind.
So law enforcement focuses on major cases of voter fraud, like this Ohio poll worker who repeatedly voted in multiple elections.
And she also voted for her sister, who has been in a coma since 2003.
Hans von Spakovsky at the Conservative Heritage Foundation says not charging those who vote twice signals illegal voting just isn't a big deal.
We want to protect the right of everyone to vote, and that includes not only making sure that everybody who's eligible is able to vote, but that their vote isn't diluted or negated by someone voting illegally.
Wyman is hopeful prosecutors will eventually charge some of the 74 people she identified across Washington state as voting twice.
There's a part of me that understands kind of what I just said. And then there's a part of me that also understands that, yeah, it would be more of a deterrent if we actually prosecuted someone who voted more than once.
Patrick Terpstra, Newsy, Washington.